There was somebody who DM'd me asking if I could go over a video from Jordan Peterson, and I found, not entirely to my surprise, that Jordan Peterson seems to be kind of washed. Uh, this is his 1.6 million sub channel, and he's getting less views per video than me by a pretty significant margin. I told you, like, about a year ago that after his brain just fully melted into a puddle in his skull pan, like, you know, he's kind of washed. The whole like benefit to Jordan Peterson, the whole thing that he was like marketing himself on was he was like the sensible, calm dad surrogate who offered life advice, you know? And all of that falls apart when he is a lunatic, right? Like he was put into that medically induced coma, and then he woke up, and since then it's all been like Chinese milking machines, you know, like truly psychotic stuff. And I don't say that in like a grifter way. I don't think he's a grifter, and I don't say that in like a euphemistic way, like, oh, haha, he's gone crazy. I actually mean I think that his brain isn't functioning properly. There was a marked difference in his behavior before and after that medically induced coma. He was never exactly like reasonable, but it definitely amplified it, you know? Yeah, the apple cider coma, exactly. It actually properly cooked him. I don't think he's right in the head. Even his life advice videos aren't getting that much attention. Are you depressed or is your life a mess? These are mutually exclusive things. You can turn your life around by changing your diet. I'm always saying this. This is oh, sorry, it's the keto diet, because that's like one of the grifty ways he does make money. I was going to say rice and beans, but that has carbs. Sorry, guys, no rice and beans. Why the storyteller matters. 4 lessons from Russia's darkest era. How to stay sane in an insane world. Negotiating a raise? Wait, I'm kind of curious. Wait, what would a brain-broken boomer like Jordan Peterson have to say? Nobody negotiates a raise. Negotiating a raise at this point, I feel, is like quitting your job and getting rehired as a contractor after the business like starts falling apart because they don't have your help anymore. You know, like the negotiating a raise. Hey, what's up, JP?
I did a lot of business consulting. I did a lot of work with people who were trying to develop their careers. I did a lot of strategizing around things like, I wouldn't say raising.
Jordan Peterson is frustrating, by the way, because in some ways, I think he dresses relatively well, and in some ways, I think he dresses relatively poorly. I think that a lot of his suits are like gimmicks in a way that I don't think come across very good, apart from being interesting. But for the most part, the fit of his suits are a hell of a lot better than the other stuff that you would see from comparable commentators. For example, this suit that he's wearing now fits quite a bit better than most of what you'd see from like the average politician or Matt Walsh or whatever. His Dr. Phil video 6 days ago, the suit is ass. Okay, okay, I'm curious. Sure, fine. I'll see. I'll see the suit, okay? From 6 days ago. This one? Dr. Phil video? Okay. Okay.
Treat yourself with dignity and respect. Because I believe you can't give away what you don't have. So if somebody doesn't...
Oh, you meant his suit, not Jordan Peterson's suit in the video. Oh, no, you do. You know what's funny? For somebody who advocates for like traditional conservatism and masculinity, this is a remarkably deviant thing to do to men's traditional formal wear. Like, this is like what a drag queen or, you know, some kind of like theater artist would do with their clothing. It's just odd. Shoots and ladders. Is he wearing this with jeans? Oh my God. There are so many problems with this. That would be a whole segment on its own. We don't need to get into it. It's fine.
People's salaries, because that's not the right way to think about it, but helping them develop the skills and confidence to maximize their economic potential and to develop plans around that. So, and one of the things we could zero in
yes, this one is a lot better.
Might be of interest to people is, for example, is negotiating a raise. Now, you said that you want to collaborate and find a better solution, that you talk with someone, not against. And that reminded me as well of the necessity of developing a joint vision. So let me tell you what we used to do in practical terms.
This is going to end up being a lot more boring than I expected, unfortunately.
When I was setting someone up to have a conversation with their boss about advancement, including a raise, necessarily want a raise, they want opportunity and they want advancement, and the only way they can conceptualize that is as more money. And so you have to get that straight too. But so, you know, I said my principles were something like, It's very difficult to negotiate if you are not in a position to say no.
Wow, this is boring. All right, moving on. Damn, no wonder this shit doesn't get views. You know how he used to talk? Like, this channel's only been around for like a year and a half, I think. What women don't understand about men. Here's an older clip.
Men use the image of female perfection to motivate themselves. And that's exactly right. That's precisely what they do. You see that in the Tom Sawyer story. So Tom Sawyer is about 12 years old, and he's still hanging around with his friends like Huck Finn. And this girl moves across the street, Becky, and she comes out, and he's struck by her for the first time in his life. Something's changed. And the first thing he does is hop up on a picket fence and show off and balance in front of her. And he's saying, well, look at me, look at me. He's like the male Bauer.
Look at me, I'm Hitler.
Or building something beautiful so the female will approve of it. And it's motivation. You know, and that's something that I think modern women don't really understand about.
Okay, so what he just said, in case you missed that, is here's his, like, brilliant Evo Psych contribution to the discourse, okay? When men see women they're attracted to, they want to impress the women. Thank you, Jordan Peterson. Evolutionary psychology is the art of making really obvious social statements sound like preordained biological truths by way of jibber jabber, you know?
Men, they don't understand that, at least to the degree that males are uncorrupted and not bitter because of being rejected, they're doing everything they can to kneel before the eternal image of the feminine.
How did he get away with this shit? Like, like, I feel like if any left-leaning guy said this, they would get made fun of so much by the right wing. But because he's right-wing, it's like, oh yeah, of course, all men kneel before the image of the perfect Not every guy's submissive, dog. I'm sorry. Was he always like this?
And try to make themselves worthy. That's the chivalry story, right? That's what you should encourage in your partner. So
no? Wait, chivalry isn't about making yourself worthy of women. Chivalry is it's a social standard of paternalistic sexism where you demonstrate your worth as a man in society broadly by showing a kind of deferential respect to the weaker sex. It's not about impressing any individual woman. That would be courting a woman. Chivalry is a broader thing. It's not like you demonstrate chivalry to every woman in that code, not like just the ones you like.
So out of chaos emerges this first form. It's the feminine form. It's partly the form that represents novelty as such. So, and on one hand it's promise, on the other hand it's threat. That
This is a famous image, by the way. Isn't this from one of his? Yeah. If you ever read anything from JP, it is truly incoherent. There's a reason why he is not taken seriously in the in his disciplines. You know.
Believe, and I don't know, because I don't know, I don't understand the situation with women as well as I understand the situation with men, obviously being a man. But I don't know if women have any idea how paralyzing they are to especially young men. A very large number of my clinical clients, but also...
This doesn't even track, man. Have you never heard of young girls being boy crazy? Like, isn't that literally a meme where a teenage girl will enter a period of her life where she like brain break and that's all she can think about? It's not even like a sex thing. It's just like, well, you know, not to defer to biology, but that is what puberty's supposed to do, kind of. Yeah, like K-pop stans, exactly. I still remember the misery of Team Jacob, Team Edward. Yeah, again, like, evolutionary psychologists love making men and women out to be different species, but fundamentally, men and women are basically the same. There might be some, I'm talking about cis men and cis women here, or maybe, like, the influence of masculine and feminine hormones, if you prefer. So, like, there are differences, right? Like, women tend to be more weepy, I guess, and I think men tend to be a bit more visual when it comes to sexual stuff. There might be a bit of a difference there biologically when it comes to, like, who's meant to be the pursuer and who's meant to be the one who's pursued. But that's not like a 100% thing. That could be like a 60-40 thing that gets blown up into like a 90-10 thing, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Like, there might be a slight, on average, biological predisposition for men and women to act differently on what, like, in certain ways. But then it's like, socially, it gets amplified because people see that small difference and they're like, ah, so that's how it is meant to be. And then they like, vroom, you know what I mean? Kind of like how men on average are hairier than women, but there's nothing about biology that encourages women to, like, wax and shave all the time. Like, the extent to which men and women have different levels of hairiness is largely a product of social conditioning, in addition to it being a biological thing.
Young men I've talked to in general are absolutely terrified of women because they're terrified of being rejected. And the terror exists in precise proportion to their attraction to the woman, which is a horrible paradoxical situation to be in. It's often why men make such fools of themselves in front of women that they're attracted to. It's because, first of all, they don't see the woman that they're attracted to, because what the hell do they know about her? They don't see her as an individual.
That's a problem. I think that's an issue, personally. When you're attracted to a woman, you stop thinking of her as a person and start thinking of her as like a stand-in for the, platonic female. That seems like an issue, in my opinion. Have these men just considered not being losers? If I were an evolutionary psychologist, I would simply not legitimize the concept of the Madonna whore. A dichotomy.
They see her as the manifestation of a judgmental ideal.
I don't feel this way. I'm sorry. If I see a girl that I'd like, I usually just think, oh, that girl's cool. I want to know more about her and, like, I don't know, squeeze her into a cube.
And then it's only in establishing the relationship with the actual woman that they can start differentiating between the judgmental ideal and the actual individual woman. And that also requires a sacrifice. And the sacrifice is, you never can have an ideal woman. So to have a relationship with any woman, you have to sacrifice the relationship with the ideal woman, and you have to see the individual woman
as a human being. Yeah, if you can imagine such a thing. There's like a little grain of truth in here where we all do kind of grapple with the difference between our perception of another and who they actually are. But the way this is being presented is just...
and separate her from the ideal. And that's the same thing that happens to the hero in Sleeping Beauty, right? He sees the evil queen who actually turns into the dragon of chaos. And it's not until he can defeat her that he can establish a relationship with the actual princess. And that's exactly the case.
The 14-year-old girl he kissed, yeah.
One of my clients who ran this men's group, which was quite interesting, one of the things they had the initiates do, which was very intelligent, was to go out and ask 50 women in one day for their phone numbers.
Okay.
Why? Politely, properly, it was a game, but it wasn't a stupid game. And the idea was, get over your fear of rejection.
Okay, here's a suggestion, because I think that there's a better way of doing this. Rather than just going up and asking for their numbers, which is weird, what if you just go up and start a conversation, like about anything? Wouldn't that be a better way to kind of train yourself to be better at being social with women? You would still have to deal with, rejection there, because their evident disinterest is still a form of, rejection, if they indicate that. Talk to women. Yeah, I know.
And how do you do that? By encountering it continually and continually and continually.
It's just... depends on the individual. I can see the merit of exposure therapy. Yeah, but like random women out on the street are not RPG monsters for you to level up against, If you're going to talk to women, talk to women. Be normal about it. Don't just like, I need to go and like run up to 50 chicks and ask for their number, You can ask for their number after talking to them, right? But the way Jordan Peterson talks about it, it sounds like he just went up and politely asked. What woman would give a number off of that? Maybe some, I guess, but not super likely. I thought you approached them with food and open hands. Right. Well, as we learned yesterday, first they're going to see your silhouette, so make sure you're wearing like a bulky jacket with pauldrons so your shoulders project out. How many women does it take for a level up? I don't know. What are like the D&D encounter experience point system? I have to think about it. Wouldn't it be better to talk to women not just in public, but in spaces you might share common interests? Well, yeah, of course. Like, yeah, that'd be preferable, obviously. I don't really recommend just cold opening people for no reason whatsoever. Like, what are the odds, especially because you people are all internet brain poison autists, what are the odds that you just approach some random woman with big fat milkers on the beach, and then she's going to have anything of interest to talk to with you, right? Like any shared interests. Maybe if you're into something, I don't know, more normie like athletics. For me personally, given the fact that I barely leave the house anyway, if I'm going to talk to somebody in public, I'd like some kind of pre-existing assurance that we have at least some shared interests. you know? Not that, by the way, not that I give a okay? I strike up conversations while waiting at bus stops, all right? I don't give a shit. If I'm there and I'm bored, I'll talk to people. But if you actually want to get to know people, it's usually a good idea to like, you know, have some understanding that you might have something in common. I need to go to Finland just to be an American and mog all the Finnish people who are standing 50 feet apart from one another. I don't know, Vosh, I kind of disagree. I think it's a good idea if you don't have a lot of women in your life. No, I'm just asking you to talk to them, not just run up to them and ask for their number, you know? I really don't think you're going to get... Okay, you know what my honest opinion is? If there's a person who's bad enough with women that they feel the need to take Jordan Peterson's advice on this subject, walking up to 50 women, asking for their numbers 50 times, and getting rejected 50 times is probably not going to endear them positively to women. It's probably going to further the bitterness and isolation they feel, you know? Dealing with rejection isn't just an exposure therapy thing. It's not just rejection that you're looking for here. It's a normal, healthy social relationship with women, you know? Rejection is a part of life and socializing, sure, but it's not the only relevant part, you know? Getting really used to failing isn't exactly a recipe for success. The fear of rejection is something you have to overcome, but why not do it in tandem with, you know, bettering your social skills when talking to women? You can just talk to them like they're normal people, you know? They almost are. You could, I mean, they're women, you know, but like you can learn to be social. It's like how religious cults and evangelists send people to, or send evangelists to people's doors just to get them rejected. Well, yeah, it's part of the like conditioning, you know? Have you considered your chat as the one who's not normal people? Oh, who's normal these days? Anyway, I just think that this advice is going to send a lot of people into a, you know, whirling cycle of inceldom where they just get rejected over and over and over and over and over again. And it just makes them feel really bad about women. You know, there are guys who think it's a mark against women that women won't like reciprocate their sexual or romantic interest on a quick meetup, you know? Like, can you imagine approaching just a random woman on a boardwalk or something and being like, hey, you look really nice. Can I have your number? And getting mad when they say no? Why the f would they say yes? You have any idea like what a psycho you must look like to them? Listen, okay, I'm only inferring here. I'm not a chick. I have been cold approached by men plenty of times, you know, I mean, but it's different because I'm a guy. But if I was a chick and some guy like cold opened me like that, dude, you're going to kill me in an alleyway. You know, you're going to dump my corpse in a dumpster. F off. Like, absolutely not. Are you kidding? You're not even going to like talk? What, like the only thing you want my number for is my appearance? It's ridiculous. The first time a guy did that to me, I immediately understood women. Oh my God. I swear to God, this is why every guy who is misogynistic has to f a guy at least once, because the moment you realize how much men are to deal with, you will instantly sympathize more with women. I'm not kidding. I'm attracted to men. I've f***ed them. I've made out with them. I've gone on dates with them. Great. Fine. But do you have any idea how much men are to deal with on dating apps? Hinge, Tinder, Grindr. Do you have any idea how exhausting they are? How presumptuous and rude and arrogant and asocial a lot of them are? It's ridiculous. I feel like I'm talking to a hive of NPCs in a lot of cases. Like they're you know, so many guys think they're slick. You know, like they think they're so much rizzier than they actually are, and it's pathetic. Like I think a lot of them are used to talking to women, and they think women are stupid and don't see through their games a little bit. You know, it's really dumb. Women on dating apps are NPCs too. A lot of them are, but for the opposite reason. Men act like NPCs on dating apps because they scattershot, like shotgun approach everyone and put no effort into it. Women act like NPCs because they're so used to catching strays from that scattershot. Like it is a two-way road, I guess, when it comes to NPC behavior, but I think the guys are by far the worst actors there, you know? And if you have an issue with women controlling the like gatekeeping sex or whatever, excuse me, sorry, which to an extent they do, at least in terms of like dating app interactions, like then stop being so desperate. Like literally, like this is a broader guy issue, you know? How do you expect women to engage with you like directly and fully if you message them when every woman on a dating app who's even remotely hot gets 50,000 messages a day, you know? Like a lot of the guys who message them are literally just messaging hi to every girl. What do you think that's going to do to the mind of the girl, you know? It's a completely non-functional relationship. It's ridiculous, you know? It does feel pretty bad if you've only ever known rejection. Don't even think about it. You're not knowing rejection. Rejection is like, this is like you saying that like, you know, only 20 years of me knowing people giving me like, you know, a stern look. What do you mean? Like that's a component of an interaction, you know? Just talk to people, you know? That's it. All you have to do to have a better relationship with women is to interact with them without the assumption that it's going to lead to anything romantic and sexual. That's it, you know? All the issues you have with like male-female romantic dynamics, like the friend zone, that's because you do have sexual or romantic interests, but you're either unwilling to show them or you don't back off after she indicates disinterest, or like, you know, the rejection or whatever. Just be normal. I'm sorry, that sounds so like presumptuous and condescending, but like try to be friends with chicks, you know? There are plenty of social spaces where women are present everywhere, but if you interact in spaces where the majority of the people you engage with are men and every once in a while you see a woman, then obviously you're going to end up falling for her. Like, that's just an exposure thing. You might as well be in a prison and every once in a while like a chick comes in, you know? Like these guys who have a male friend group only interact in male spaces, like do male hobbies with male participants, and then like one chick enters the friend group and every guy there falls in love with her. No shit. Like, play the field, dog. Obviously, you know? Like, obviously that's going to happen. Yeah, it's called the Big Bang Theory. Also, you know what would help you out? You have to accept that much like guys, a lot of women are boring and kind of like worthless to talk to. Accepting that will make you feel a lot better when things don't work out, rather than treating every woman like some kind of deific representation of pussy or whatever. Just accept that they're people, and a lot of people kind of suck. You interact with a woman, oh, she was boring, oh, whatever, it didn't work out, fine. Like, that's life. That's not some like giant indictment of you as a person. It's not a moral failing or whatever, you know? You can be the rizziest Rizzlord you want. A lot of chicks are just like not going to be your thing. That's not a, you know, crime or whatever. I feel like you share this opinion with Jordan Peterson. Oh, who the f knows what he believes? There's also the element of wanting respect, male approval for being a cool dude, bro. Look, okay, I get wanting to be masked for the guys, being like a cool dude, bro, okay? But let me tell you this, and this is for sure, okay? This is the truth. If you let the way you talk to people you're interested in be influenced by the expectations of your male friend group, you are the biggest pussy in the universe. You are a gigantic pussy. Look, I get it. You're with the boys. I understand. But if there's a girl you like and you're letting like the peer pressure of your dominant masculine friend group interfere with your ability there, you're getting cucked, bro. All your whole male friend group is like running a train on her and you're watching psychologically because you're letting them get in the way. Like, what the you know? And if they're good friends, they shouldn't be. But to some extent, you know, whatever internalized element of their there is to that, I guess, peer pressure. Why would I ever bring my girlfriend around my male friend group? Hey, response to that. Why wouldn't you? Is there something wrong with your male friend group? Are they misogynistic? Is there something like weird about them? Like I've had girlfriends and I certainly never had any issue showing them off to my, you know, if anything, you know, I want to point at them and go like, look at these giant bazongas. I squeezed them. That's right. Yeah, boys, you know, I mean, I guess it's kind of like a dynamic thing, right? Like sometimes you just have a friend group of idiots. That's life, you know? If you're really in a relationship with somebody, you should always be sharing friends. Like, maybe not every friend, but yeah, like generally, yes. If your friends don't approve of the other partner or like they wouldn't get along, that is a pretty big red flag. It's not necessarily like a giant moral failing, but I feel like, you know, it just reminds me of that tragically heterosexual tendency that guys have where it's like, you know, weekends are for the boys or whatever, or they call their wife the wife, right? Where they have like two separate spaces and one of them is where they have domesticity and sex once a month and the other space is they have like the boys, and just like painfully tragic, you know? It hurts to think about. If your friends are making passes at your girl, they aren't your friends. Yeah? Yes? Yeah, obviously. Hopefully that goes without saying. I mean, obviously, don't be like weird and insecure or whatever, where one of your male friends is like, "Oh, she looks lovely," and you're like, "Get your hands off her!" Like your like best friend since high school is like, "Oh, she looks wonderful," and you're like, "You're not her," you know? Get away! Yeah, square up, mother. Yeah, so don't be a freak or whatever. But yeah, like, you know, if I had a male friend of my partner who made passes at me once. It was weird as. Yeah, that is pretty weird. Sorry, Vosh, but I've already f***ed her. Well, that actually is a consistent dynamic in like close friend groups where there's a lot of queer people, where people will be in relationships when other people in the friend group have already been in a relationship, or the people who are now in their own relationship. And that is definitely a dynamic that has to be navigated. But, you know, I think as long as people aren't weird about it, it's like, fine. I don't really give a shit. Like, if you have a partner and then like one of the friends of your partner, like 4 years ago, they with another person, and that I think that's very much like a it's as weird as you make it kind of thing. But I guess that's a personal preference. Gays are better, but gays are way better about it, yeah. Because the heterosexual male treats like having sex with a woman as possessing her, so it gets into like property disputes. How do you talk to someone you're attracted to, like at a loud club type bar? You talk to people at a loud club type bar? Sorry, if you're like macking up somebody or trying to riz somebody in a place like that, that's more of a body language deal, okay? Smile a lot, shout at them, to try to be heard. Make a big performative indication that you can't hear them that well. Ask if they want to go somewhere quiet, and then aggressively make out with them in one of the little hallways that leads to an emergency exit door. You know, just classic move. You're gonna have to move through all the other couples that are like making out, leaning against the wall, or the wall in the alley that leads to the emergency exit door. You know, you just dance. Well, I can't dance, so that's not on the table for me. I'm giving my end of you know, this is my side of things. I don't really like loud bars anyway, so it's whatever. You smell bad, me? This would work on a lot of girls I know.